Hello and welcome. You're watching the Friday edition of This Is Exclusive with me, Shehbaz Sharif. Ladies and gentlemen, they are completely frustrated. They do not have any option. And I'm talking about Pakistan and Pakistan's means at the border. In fact, over the last few days, there have been multiple attempts. And these attempts were thwarted by the Indian troops. But tonight on This Is Exclusive, we're going to take you through the real story. Who's the man behind the ceasefire violations and why suddenly has Pakistan gone back to its old tactics? All this and much more. But first, let's take you through the headlines we're tracking at this hour. Pak poster boy resurfaces. Lashkar terrorist Hafiz Saeed spotted in Pakistan enjoying premium rides, all while tensions flare at line of control. Pakistan violates ceasefire conditions. On This Is the Exclusive, the complete timeline of what really unfolded on 1st of April. Hindu seer brutally attacked and assaulted in Bengal. BJP stages protests and questions Mamata government's inaction. Amid escalating showdown over Waqf Amendment Bill, AIMIM chief moves Supreme Court, maintains that bill is unconstitutional. First up, these are the visuals that we bring you from 1st of April. Now, these are visuals of injured Pakistani personnel being taken away by their army after a failed bid to push the border action team into India. Now, to put this into context, on 1st of April, Pakistan's border action team, assisted by the Pakistan army, attempted to infiltrate the Indian side of the line of control from two posts. However, the infiltration was thwarted by India's anti-infiltration grid, with several mines detonating as the BAT team advanced. Now, as a result, 5 to 6 border action team members were injured and one Pakistani soldier was also killed in the blast. Now, what you see right now, these are the first set of images coming in of the infiltration attempt that has made. Now, this was completely breached by the Indian troops. On 1st of April, this was an attempt that was made by the border action team, well aided by the Pakistani army. In fact, what you see right now on your screens, these are the first visuals of the infiltration attempt that was actually made. What you can see is about 4 to 6 of the BAT members who were basically trying to infiltrate. Now, as they tried to infiltrate, that very area is basically covered by landmines. And those landmines detonated the moment they tried to cross over. In fact, there is another set of visuals which we are going to play out in a short while from now, which will give you a full perspective of what really happened on that day and how Pakistani army, ladies and gentlemen, now caught on camera, carry on with their same old tactics. That is, provide fire cover to the terrorists and also carry on the infiltration attempt. Now, this was in the Krishna Ghati region when this action was actually taken. In fact, it turns out while this entire attempt was being made to cross over, Pakistani army carried out a cover fire and they were basically targeting the Indian posts. Now, what we're going to do right now, ladies and gentlemen, I'll come back to these visuals in a short while from now. But let me just put this into perspective. Now, on 1st of April, a nefarious infiltration attempt by Pakistan's border action team was assisted by the Pakistani army. It was foiled along the line of control. The operation, which basically included multiple mine blasts and heavy gunfire, left several Pakistani soldiers injured and one dead. Now, as tension escalated, Pakistan refused to back away. In fact, reports confirmed the violation of the ceasefire even on 2nd of April in the Krishna Ghati sector. Now, in this report, what we essentially attempt to do is take you through the entire sequence. While this has been known for a very long time that perhaps Pakistan resorts to this very action whenever it has been cornered. Ladies and gentlemen, but this has now been caught on camera. The fact that Pakistani army soldiers were killed in action, we are given to understand there were funerals that were also done of the Pakistani soldiers. All of it now caught on camera. Take a look.
Pakistan's border action team, aided by their army, launched an attempted infiltration along the line of control on April 1st. The operation was swiftly thwarted by India's anti-infiltration grid. At 1:20 p.m. on April 1st, Pakistan's border action team, supported by the Pakistan Army, made a concerted push to infiltrate through the Krishna Ghati sector in Poonch. Their attempt, however, was quickly intercepted by India's anti-infiltration grid. Within minutes, multiple mine blasts rang out by 1:25 p.m. as the Pakistani BAT team stepped into a minefield. Thereafter, a barrage of 200 rounds from small arms was fired at Pakistani positions by Indian troops. Pakistani forces, including the 642 Mujahid Battalion of the 02 POJK Brigade, began launching mortar and small arms fire at the Indian posts. But the retaliation from India's 7 Jat Battalion proved effective in containing the situation. By 1:45 p.m., reports claimed that the Pakistani army was evacuating the injured. At least 5 to 6 BAT personnel sustained injuries, while one was killed. However, less than 24 hours after the failed attempt, Pakistan's aggressive posture continued with a second round of ceasefire violation along the same region. The cross-border firing comes nearly 4 years after India and Pakistan reaffirmed their ceasefire agreement along the line of control in February 2021.
Well, in fact, this set of images clearly proves that the Pakistani army, which has been cornered because they have not only violated the ceasefire agreement, they feel that the only way perhaps to continue with their age-old tactic is to provide cover fire, provide training to these terrorists. In a short while from now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to tell you why it is connected to one of the most wanted terrorists and why his resurfacing can be well connected to this very incident. I'm going to come to that in a short while from now, but just to put this into perspective as to where this actually happened and what really happened thereafter, because this, after a very long time, the Indian army has clearly put out a statement saying that this was an attempt that was basically made for intrusion. In fact, let me also go across to my colleague Gursimran for getting us the latest details. Gursimran, on our screens right now is that very video of BAT members trying to cross over. Walk us through the sequence of events.
Sisha, when it was on the 1st of April, the things were normal on the line of control after the flag meeting between Indian side and the Pakistan on 21st of February 2025, and where it was agreed upon by both sides that the pact, the ceasefire pact that has been agreed in 2021 by the DGMO level talks, they will be completely abiding by the same. But all of a sudden on 1st February, it was in the broad daylight that an infiltration attempt was made from the Pakistani side. Indian army saw some suspected movement. Before they could fire on that, there were loud bangs that were heard on the line of control. It was 1:25. It's a roughly a plus minus 1 minute time. 1:25, they heard the loud bangs, to which they opened the fire. Since it was the area where the 2 Pakistani posts which have the deployment of 642 Mujahideen that comes under the 2 POK brigade of the Pakistan army, that area was covered by them. Indian army opened the fire at the place where the loud bangs were heard, because that is the ahead of the fence. They opened the fire, to which the Pakistan retaliated. The retaliation was on the Indian post, after which the India has to retaliate on the Pakistani post. It went on for roughly 15 minutes, and then it came into being that there have been injuries to the Pakistani side. Immediately there was no confirmation with the Indian army that there have been confirmed casualties to the Pakistan side, because only there were visuals that that came into the cameras that some people were being taken on stretcher back to the Pakistani side. But from the Nakyal, that is in the Pakistan occupied Jammu and Kashmir, just opposite to the Slotri area of Poonch, the Slotri Julas area, there came some of the confirmations that one of the Naik of the Pakistan army, it's Naik Nasir, he has been killed in the landmine blast that has taken place. And after that, Indian army was keeping a strict vigil, but roughly 24 hours after that, there was another set of ceasefire, but that was retaliated effectively and in such a manner that the Pakistan has to stop the ceasefire violation, that is the point to point, the post to post targeting that they were doing, that stopped on the 2nd of April evening, roughly around 7:30.
Well, Gursalman, I'll request you to stay on with us, because we are going to now tell our viewers it is now connected. It is connected, ladies and gentlemen, to a man called Hafeez Saeed, the notorious most wanted man on whose head there is a 10 million bounty. Now, this is Pakistan's poster boy, Hafeez Saeed. Ladies and gentlemen, Hafeez Saeed, the notorious and most wanted in Pakistan, is now been given a complete red carpet that has been rolled for him. In fact, it turns out that there was a visit that was made by Hafeez Saeed, and that visit was in Pakistan occupied Kashmir, in POK itself. Now, on your screens is Hafeez Saeed, who was spotted during Ramadan. In fact, let me just take you through the details of it. Now, these images come in just a day before the ceasefire violation has actually taken place. And the ceasefire violation has taken place in an area which is not very far away from the very place that was actually visited by this man. The most wanted, notorious mastermind of the 2008 Mumbai attack, Hafeez Saeed, who for the longest time Pakistan has been trying to sell by saying that he was under house arrest. Reality is that he is not under house arrest. In fact, perhaps he was not even injured when one of his close aide, Abu Qatal, was eliminated. And there were reports that were basically emerging from Pakistan that this terrorist was undergoing some treatment in a hospital. Now, these images that you see on your screens are of the very time that he visited Pakistan occupied Kashmir. Now, let me just quickly take you through the details of the location where this incident has taken place, the ceasefire violation, and how far is it. We are being told that he was last spotted during the Ramadan in Pakistan. And the photos that have emerged right now of his luxury rides in his premium Land Cruiser, attending lavish iftar parties with no security presence actually inside. Now, if reports are essentially to be believed, projected as Shehbaz Sharif's poster boy, he was injured in the firing, as I mentioned just a short while back, that eliminated his close aide, Abu Qatal. Now, these pictures that you see, they are completely, tells us completely a different story. And the fact that this comes at a time when the ceasefire violation had taken place. Now, I'll just take you through the location where we're being told that he was photographed and how far is he. These 4 photographs of Hafeez Saeed, in fact, is from a location not very far away from where the bat action had actually taken place. He was spotted just on 1st and 2nd of April, and this was on the very day, the 1st of April, when the Pakistani army attempted to push the border action team into the Indian side, and they got trapped in landmines of the anti-infiltration grid, and 1 Pakistani soldier was killed, 3 to 4 were basically injured. On 2nd of April is when Pakistan violated the ceasefire in Krishna Ghati sector of Poonch. Now, importantly, what we are being told is this is essentially linked. Let me also quickly go across to my colleague Gursimran, who is getting us the latest details. Gursimran, how is it connected to Hafeez Saeed?
See, Shravan, these photos of Hafeez Saeed is the answer to the question that what has changed for the Pakistan in last 40 days. That on February 21st, they were begging India for the ceasefire in the flag meeting that was held in the Chakandabag area of the Poonch district when India decimated the Pakistan's nefarious plan of the ceasefire, and India hit back to the Pakistan. Pakistan was begging, literally begging for the ceasefire, that they will abide by what has been agreed upon by the DGMOs. But what has changed in the last 40 days is the presence of Hafeez Saeed, because this photographs, the 4 photographs of Hafeez Saeed that has been accessed by the Republic, we are told that the agencies are having access to a large video, wherein he is being given a warm welcome by the cadre of the Lashkar-e-Taiba, that is believed it is from the Kot Mardan Khan, and somewhere of the last week of March. And then suddenly in the first week of April, we saw how on the 1st of April the things started moving, escalating along the situation, along the line of control, when the Pakistani bad teams, they attempted the infiltration into the Indian territory assisted by the Pakistani regulars, then the ceasefire violation. See, this area of the Poonch that is just opposite to the Pakistan's POJK, this area has been prone to the infiltration by the Lashkar-e-Taiba cadres. So there is no second thought that it was a Lashkar group that was trying to infiltrate, probably assisted by the special forces of the Pakistani side that always keep on being the part of this bad group. Now coming to these photographs, these are taken, the 4 photographs that we are being told that after analysis of these videos, it came into being that these photographs, these are of the recent days. These are not these are the old photographs, but these are recent photographs taken somewhere last week of the March. And here you can see that Hafeez Saeed is having free access, and that is the sole reason what it is believed by the agencies, that now the Pakistan is once again promoting Hafeez Saeed so as to destabilize Rajouri and Poonch, because reason being that on international border front they know that the security has been heightened, because after the interception of the latest group of Jaish-e-Mohammed, out of which 2 terrorists have been killed, 3 still at large, but a massive cordon is there on the international border area. So it becomes almost impossible for them to push another group of terrorists into the Indian side from this very area. So now they have shifted their focus back again to the line of control, where they are trying to push the more and more groups of Lashkar-e-Taiba, and that is probably the reason that Hafeez Saeed is back again with his lavish SUVs, and also he is being allowed to go to the iftar parties to enjoy whatever he can, so as he can reactivate his cadre, so to destabilize Jammu and Kashmir. Shavan.
Attempted to basically reactivate his cadres, as my colleague Gursimran was pointing out. Now, in response to the rising threat of terror attacks in Jammu, the Indian Army is set to bolster its presence in the region with additional Rashtriya Rifles deployment. In fact, over 2,500 Rashtriya Rifle personnel will be stationed in the terror-affected districts of Jammu, particularly in areas like Riyasi and Udhampur, now which have essentially seen frequent terror activity. In fact, the elite RR units previously that were stationed along the border in Rajouri and Shopian will now reinforce the 16 corps based in Nagrota to enhance the security and counter-terrorism operations. In fact, remember, in the last 6 months, there was an increased activity coming in from the terror launch pads across the Krishna Ghati sector. In fact, not just that, the Poonch area was one of the greatest cause of concerns for the security forces. Let me bring in my colleague Gursimran, who's getting us the latest details. Gursimran, the latest now really coming in from Jammu with regards to additional deployment taking place from the Rashtriya Rifles units. Just walk us through the details you're picking up in terms of the troop movement and the fact that the Rashtriya Rifle units have essentially been increased to counter the rising threats.
See, Shawan, that is what we are picking up from the sources in the Indian Army, that Indian Army is strengthening its deployment in the Jammu region. The deployment is being done in such a manner that the uniform force of the Indian Army that caters the Rashtriya Rifles troops in it, the 3 units of the Rashtriya Rifles, these units are coming back to Jammu and Kashmir. Now they will be deployed in the Riyasi, headquartered in the Riyasi, and the deployment will be in the Riyasi, Udhampur, and also in some parts of Rajouri. Earlier also, before they were pulled out from Jammu and Kashmir, they had their presence in the Riyasi, parts of Rajouri, in the Thana Mandi, in the Nowshera area, and then in the Udhampur district. They have taken part in the multiple counter-terror operations, but were fetched back due to the operational constraints of the Indian Army, that they have to redeploy at a different location. Now we are told that they are being brought back, and also with this, this means that additional 2,500 troops that are trained for the anti-terror operations, they are being brought back. They will first be immediately deployed in the Riyasi and Udhampur. Reason being that the Riyasi has seen the Shiv Khodi terror attack on 9th of June 2024, where 9 pilgrims of Shiv Khodi temple, they were killed by the Pakistani terrorists of Lashkar-e-Taiba. On the same day, Prime Minister Narendra Modi was taking oath, and soon after that we have saw that how Pakistani terrorists of Jaish-e-Mohammed killed a VDG member in the upper reaches of the Basantgarh in the month of June, when they killed him and then escaped from the area. So this area has once again seen the surge in the violence, and that's why the decision has been taken. We have got the confirmation from the different quarters in the Indian Army that the decision has been taken, and in a phased manner the uniform force of the Indian Army will be back in the Riyasi district, covering the area of the Rajouri, Riyasi and Udhampur.
Well, thank you very much, Gursibran, for getting us the latest details. In fact, as there's an increased threat, this has been countered by the Indian Army, particularly in the Jammu region. Well, in fact, ladies and gentlemen, a comment that has been made by Union Minister Piyush Goyal has sparked an intense debate. This is with regards to startups in India vis-a-vis startups in China. Startup founders and leaders have basically stepped up to defend India's Union Minister Piyush Goyal with regards to the position that he had essentially taken, saying that whether at all Indian startups have essentially been able to live up to its expectations, or is it only trying to help, as they say, create food delivery system? In fact, now you have Piyush Goyal releasing another statement. Let's hear him out.
I go back extremely satisfied with the work done by our young startups, and very confident that my message to the startups has been received, save and except by some Congress party handles who are hell-bent on manufacturing a controversy where there is none. By and large, the feedback I have received is young India is raring to go and they are ready to capture the world. मैंने बड़ी सोची समझी बात रखी थी कल सबके समक्ष, और मेरा मानना है कि अब समय आ गया है कि भारत के निवेशक रिकॉग्नाइज करें कि ये पूरा जो स्टार्टअप का इकोसिस्टम है इसकी संभावनाएं बहुत हैं, इसमें हमारे युवा युवती बहुत बेहतरीन काम कर रहे हैं, और इसको अगले स्टेप, अगले लेवल तक लेके जाने में मुझे लगता है भारत का निवेश, भारत के लोगों का जुड़ना इसको और तेज गति देगा.
Well, this has sparked a massive row when Union Minister Piyush Goyal tried to draw a comparison between India and China, particularly looking at China, where they have basically invested in research and development, leading to a massive leap in artificial intelligence and also sectors within the startup ecosystem. Now, in comparison, you've had the Union Minister saying that as far as in the name of startups in India, perhaps what we have essentially achieved is more of a food delivery system. But having said that, Union Minister once again clarifying his position, saying that the time has come to soar higher. That's all that we could pack in this edition of This Is Exclusive. We'll be back tomorrow at the same time with more exclusive stories.
इसको घर पे लगाओगे तो शादी का तो पता नहीं, पर घर पक्का नहीं टूटेगा.
रुंगटा नहीं तो घर स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं. रुंगटा स्टील TMT बार एकदम सॉलिड.
पहाड़ों में एक हाइकिंग शिप भी बन सकती है.
आपके घर के खाने में रेस्टोरेंट जैसा स्वाद ले आए MDH का शाही पनीर मसाला. पनीर को क्या मस्त बना डाला.
इतनी हो गई है रात, मैं कर रहा हूँ वक्त व्हील पर बात। मैं दे रहा हूँ मोदी जी को साथ, मैं दे रहा हूँ मोदी जी को साथ,